Given the choice, I think it's fair to say, if they could, most people would prefer to give money to charity rather than the government. Today, this is a choice made possible for more people thanks to the efforts of one man, Don Johnson. Not a lobbyist, not a politician, just an ordinary citizen like you or I.
Thanks to him, it's now possible to donate stocks to charities. It's meant millions more is now going to fund important charitable work. It used to be if you donated stock, it was the same as selling it, and that meant it was taxable at a high capital gains rate. Not anymore. In the mid-1990s, Don Johnson, an investment advisor, was chairing a campaign to raise $12 million for the National Ballet of Canada when he stumbled upon a great inequity in Canada's tax laws.
At that time, when you gave stock to a charity, you got a tax receipt for the value of the gift, but you were deemed to have sold the stock for tax purposes. So the capital gains tax that you had to pay offset a significant portion of the tax benefit of the tax deductible receipt that you received. So basically no one gave stock to a charity in Canada at that time. If we adopted the US system of a capital gains exemption for gifts of stock, then that would unlock a lot of private wealth for public good.
That public good is represented in the stories of people like Gordon Brown.
I was a crack addict for 16 years. And 9 years previous to that, I was a cocaine addict. So half my life, 25 years as a drug addict, numerous stints of homelessness. And then the bakery came along. So I decided that I would work at the bakery, learn a new skill, but I wasn't quite ready to give up the crack. So after about 6 months of working here, I got fired.
Brown works at St. John's Bakery in Toronto, a project funded in part by United Way Toronto's Enterprise Fund. Last year, it raised over $108 million, thanks partly to a 306% increase in the value of stock donated between 2005 and 2007. The advantages of giving in this way seem overwhelming, but making it possible was a huge struggle. Toronto's Mayor David Miller was among the first to buy into the idea.
And ultimately, I think it was 45 mayors from cities in every province across Canada sent letters of support to the finance minister and the prime minister.
Cities were supportive because more money for charities meant less strain on social services.
Now we've got 3 or 4 people off welfare and are no longer on the dole, myself included, which is probably one of the greatest things that this place represents to me, is that it actually has worked. People actually are on their own, supporting themselves by coming into the job, and they're no longer collecting a freebie from the taxpayers. So I make that very clear to most people that that's one of the most important things. So for me personally, that really rang true, is that I was no longer a burden to society, and that I was become a taxpayer actually, which is nothing really to brag about.
But many would say improving public policy is something to brag about. In the 1997 federal budget, Johnson won a partial victory. Then Finance Minister Paul Martin announced a 50% reduction in the capital gains tax for the next 5 years.
The challenge was how do you convince the government to go the rest of the way?
While the Conservatives and Bloc Québécois supported eliminating the tax, the NDP was vehemently opposed, viewing it only as a tax break for the rich. And the Liberals didn't appear ready to make the changes.
I was ecstatic when I got a copy of a press release which then Finance Minister Ralph Goodale issued on behalf of the Liberal Party, saying if they were elected, then they would eliminate the capital gains tax. And I was even more ecstatic on May the 2nd, 2006, when Finance Minister Jim Flaherty announced in his budget that the capital gains tax and stock were completely eliminated.
One change to Canadian tax law has spurred a windfall for Canadian charities. The Toronto General and Western Hospital Foundations received $4 million in stock donations prior to the shift. The following year, over $40 million.
SOS Children's Villages, one lonely stock donation before the change. Since then, they've received dozens, and the list goes on.
I think that change in legislation that Don Johnson really spearheaded and made happen is one of the biggest impacts of all in charity in recent history.
After the laws changed to make the giving completely tax credible, we've been getting more and more. We're up in a couple dozen, including one significant donation, enough money to build an entire village, an SOS village in southern Africa in a country called Namibia, which is very exciting for us and has subsequently led to other people investing or donating stocks to us.
Peter Nicholson used to spend his days as an investment advisor, but now he also finds himself championing this kind of charitable donation.
We immediately share the change in tax law with our clients that were givers. And the experience that we had is that they went ahead and started giving more stock. Our first year of focusing on this as a firm, I was quite disappointed. We were only able to raise $3 million in stock for the charities for our clients. Last year, we're getting to a more significant number. We were able to do $20 million in stock. So I'm a little bit more proud of that number.
Until mid-2008, charities did well with this change. Then, the economy and the markets began to bottom out.
I think everybody's concerned about the economy, and if people have less wealth, they're less liable to give as much as they might have given. If somebody might have given us $100,000 and they're no longer able to do that, then we have to make up the difference by going to many, many more people.
Inevitably, those donations of stocks are very large, so they're very substantial. And we saw that until recently when the stock market started going up and down and becoming fairly unpredictable. And we've not seen a stock donation in the last month or so.
The economic downturn has added a new dimension to this new way of giving. Charities need to compensate for the drop in stock values. How they'll do it is unclear. The benefits of the new policy, though, are plain to see.
The bakery has been the platform to rise above the hardcore long-term drug addiction. And no one could say for sure where I would have landed without the bakery, but we know where I did land with the bakery. I landed right where I was supposed to be.
With the recent sharp drop in stock values, charities now need to compensate for the losses, and Johnson says a tax-effective stimulus for the nonprofit sector in the 2009 federal budget will help. He used the major papers to publish an open letter to the Prime Minister, Finance Minister, and other key leaders with details of his plan, and it's signed by an elite group of academic, cultural, and NGO leaders. We've got those details on our website, so take a look and then have your say before Budget Day, January 27th. Visit itsyourgovernment.tv to learn more.